Breaking news off the top. We've just received thousands of documents from the Uvalde School District. This in relation to the Robb Elementary shooting investigation.
Those new documents include over 3,000 pages of previously unreleased information. We know there's been a legal battle over getting that information released. As we mentioned, we just got these documents into our newsroom. Our team working hard to go through them right now. We're going to have more for you coming up tonight on the Night Beat. 3 letters. DNA could hold the answer to a local murder mystery. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar says that's the direction investigators are looking now when it comes to finding the person who killed 63-year-old Stacy Dramiga as she walked along a park trail. Katrina Weber shows how even after nearly a year, her death still impacting people who go to that park.
The intense scene that played out last September. Sheriff's deputies on the hunt along Southeast Bexar County park trails is seared into Judy Martinez's mind.
Mounted police, and then they had police on four-wheelers, and they found her out there.
She was there even before the search for Stacy Dramiga turned into a murder case. The body of the 63-year-old wife and mother, who had set out on a walk from Covington Park, was found about 2 miles away.
Has this situation made you more watchful?
Yes, you have to be very alert. You know, pay attention.
While nearly a year has passed, the focus on safety for park goers has not faded.
I always see security here, and there's like people that come and pick up, so I feel safe.
You got to be wary and be careful and bring deterrence.
Investigators, meanwhile, remain focused on finding answers. Sheriff Javier Salazar says they're determined to solve this case.
I wouldn't call it a cold case by any stretch of the imagination. We're continuing to follow leads.
The sheriff says in the last year, his investigators have covered a lot of ground, both physically here on the trails and in the number of people who they've spoken to. But he says so far they haven't found that one person, the killer. The hope now, he says, hangs on 3 letters, DNA. But that could take time.
We're having to rely on some pretty high-tech technologies that, you know, that are not necessarily at our fingertips.
Still, Judy Martinez hopes an arrest does happen soon.
And it worries me because I do see people, women, you know, go out.
So no one else is hurt. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Never want someone to lay my hands on my child. I'll go crazy. I'll do anything to protect her. So for someone to try and do that to someone else's kid is insane.
Parents on edge in San Antonio ISD boosting security after the district says 2 men tried to abduct a child near a school. This happened yesterday afternoon around 4 p.m. near the intersection of Russey Street and Kaler Court near Hot Wells Middle School and Ball Elementary. That's where San Antonio police say the 2 men were in a silver car with a lift sign on the driver's side window. Officers say they approached a 12-year-old girl as she was walking home, and they tried to pull on her backpack. Luckily, she was able to escape and tell her parents about what happened. SCISD is saying that parents can expect increased police presence in several areas surrounding those schools. We do want to remind you, if you see something suspicious, say something. Stranger danger. But an update to a story we brought you yesterday. Bexar County Sheriff's deputies say this man, 67-year-old Eddie Lee Dacey, admitted to shooting his girlfriend outside a vacant home yesterday. It all happened in Southeast Bexar County on Hensey Road near I-37 and Southton Road. Deputies say Dacey told them a gun went off, quote, during a struggle. The woman was found with a gunshot wound to the head before she was rushed to the hospital. As of this afternoon, she is still in the hospital. Dacey arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. If you or someone you know is in a domestic violence situation, help is out there. Scan the QR code on your screen for a full list of free resources that can help. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar sending a warning after deputies detained 22 people at an illegal gambling operation. Yeah, it happened at Royal Room 777 off East South Cross Boulevard in South Gevers. We know in total 18 players detained, given written citations, then released. We're told 4 employees are still detained, will be taken in for questioning. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar says while owning 8-liner machines is not illegal in and of itself, the manner in which people pay out often is.
it appears that they're trying to make an effort to distance themselves from the two. So you play over here, but you don't receive the payment over here. They give you some sort of a token to go to the next business and redeem that token for cash payment. That's what makes it illegal.
We're also told one person detained was found with meth. BCSO will be there at that scene on South Cross for the next few hours.
How do you think the city should spend $4 billion? This week, the city of San Antonio finishing up its district town halls on next year's budget before the council passes a final spending plan, which happens next month.
It's a big task every year. Garrett Berger is at the Central Library right now, where one of the final 3 meetings is being held. So, Garrett, what is the purpose of this kind of meeting tonight?
Well, Myra, the city hosts 10 of these in each of the council districts, plus another one for teens and young adults. Now, nothing is decided for sure at these meetings, but it's an opportunity for people to ask questions of city staff and give their 2 cents on how they want their tax dollars spent. So police, firefighters, streets, sidewalks, animal care services, homeless services, all of this paid through the annual budget every year. And this budget, a bit of a tricky one. The city's trying to close a $173 million hole in its primary operating fund over the next 2 years. Closing that deficit has the city considering cuts, as well as raising fines and fees. However, no property tax hike. Well, now we've seen a plan to hire more cops slow down. There's less money for sidewalks this year and less money for affordable housing. Now, if you want to hear more, there are 2 town halls tonight, both at 6:30. There's the one we're at here at the Central Library downtown, and there's another at the Robinette Community and Senior Center on the far west side. The final budget town hall will be held tomorrow night at the Urban Ecology Center. That's over at Hardberger Park West. Now, we have the exact addresses for each of these meetings on our website. You can find the story on KSAT.com. And we're going to bring you, coming up at 10, a little bit more about what people here have to say about the budget. That's going to be on the Night Beat. Live at Central Library, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Garrett, thank you. Let's take a look outside with live cam. We've been pretty lucky this month with rain chances. Can we expect to see any more of those as we finish out these last few days of August? Adam Caskey's going to talk about that when he has his full forecast in just a bit. Is it discrimination? The Bexar County Sheriff's Office dealt a blow last week after the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission said that it believes a man may have been denied a position as a detention officer because of his wife's religious beliefs. Luis Borges says that his job offer was pulled by BCSO after a pre-employment inspection of his house. During that visit, deputies photographed his wife's personal altar to La Santa Muerte. That is a spiritual figure whose image is sometimes associated with criminal culture and drug cartels. Followers of La Santa Muerte believe that she aids them in matters of health, fortune, and protection from harm. Borges filed a federal lawsuit over the matter late last year, and then just last week, he got an EEOC ruling that will likely help his suit.
Check out TransGuide right now. We're going to go to 1604 at Northwest Military Highway, and things are barely moving. The camera glitching there a little bit, 1604 at Northwest Military, but you can see traffic barely moving along, whether it's glitching or not. It's not an area you want to be caught in. Stop and go traffic out there. They are iconic San Antonio hotels that overlook the Alamo, and now they have new owners. The Texas General Land Office announcing they have bought the historic Crockett and Menger hotels. It's reported the purchase was made amid the wider Alamo plan, a multi-million-dollar renovation project for the Alamo and the surrounding area. The Texas Land Commissioner says the move will strengthen the visitor experience, according to the San Antonio Business Journal. The 2 properties, by the way, were last assessed at a combined value of $55 million.
We have the permission from the family of Juan Gabriel to use his image in video and audio as well, sync it with the orchestra, so the audience will basically come see a concert of Juan Gabriel in video and audio with the symphony, with the San Antonio Philharmonic live. So it's going to be very, very, very special.
The San Antonio Philharmonic today announcing a huge concert series next month. And for the first time, the estate of the legendary Mexican singer Juan Gabriel has authorized a tribute with his live voice and projection to be used with a live orchestra.
Juan Gabriel, a Philharmonic tribute, will take place September 12th through the 14th at the Philharmonic's new home, the Scottish Rite Theater. So the Philharmonic formed after the demise of the San Antonio Symphony in 2022, but the new group has also had its own ups and downs.
Executive Director, former Councilman Roberto Trevino, actually sat down with our Erica Hernandez to talk about all of that and how their main focus is making the Philharmonic a mainstay and a go-to attraction for the San Antonio community.
Our mission as the Philharmonic is to put the community first.
With shows like the Selena Viva tribute and the Nutcracker, a Texas folklorico story, the San Antonio Philharmonic wants to cater to the culture and tradition of San Antonio in ways never done before. In the past few years, the Philharmonic has had some setbacks and funding issues.
Arts organizations, just about anywhere, face a lot of challenges. And so those challenges have been met with a lot of determination and grit. We're turning these challenges into opportunities.
Executive Director Roberto Trevino says a way to turn things around is giving the community what they want and keeping ticket prices affordable.
Our base price is still at just $25 for a classics concert. Of course, they range in tiers depending on where you sit, but we're incredibly proud of our ability to make those adjustments, and we want to bring in as many people from our community.
Another way the Philharmonic plans to have a more permanent role in what San Antonio does is by having a permanent home, which is now the Scottish Rite Theater.
It's our symphony hall here in San Antonio. It's the place to go enjoy symphonic music, classical music in San Antonio. And so to have this building along with this orchestra, it makes all the difference in the world.
There is also a new partnership with Chef Johnny Hernandez to provide dining experiences to go along with shows. The possibilities are now endless for the future of the San Antonio Philharmonic. The goal to not only to connect with the community, but be recognized for so much more.
This is something that I think we can lead not just the state of Texas, but the country and maybe even internationally as we go into Mexico as well.
Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
All right, it is time for a trip down memory lane. Tomorrow is Steve's last day on air, so we're taking a look back. And what better way to celebrate 30 years at KSAT? That pun's for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I like that.
We'll tease. We'll be right back.
Yeah, it's not all politics at the Iowa State Fair, Myra. As a matter of fact, if you want to know the best way to get on a cow's good side, you butter him up. There is a huge butter cow in a refrigerator at the Iowa State Fair. It is the one thing that everybody tells you you must see. They have little plushy toys that are butter cows. Sarah Pratt has been the sculptor of the butter cow since 2006. She's only like the fourth or fifth person that's ever had this job since 1911 when the butter cow was first put together. I was curious how this whole thing started. Who decided to come up with the idea of a cow made of butter? Sarah explained it to me.
One of the many things that you found on that trip, but that's probably the most memorable.
The butter cow.
The butter cow, butter Big Bird.
Butter Big, point. Yeah, there was, and butter like Oscar the Grouch.
Everything.
And they had like a whole different, like it was more than just the butter cow.
Yeah, that was just the biggest.
There were all kinds of, buttery sculptures there.
Yes. And you was that Iowa?
Iowa State Fair.
That was Iowa State Fair.
And former mayor Julian Castro, running for president, was there. That's we followed him around. Yeah. But before he got there, we got to do a little.
Had a little fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
I know.
They're also big into their bacon. Butter and bacon.
Butter and bacon sounds pretty
I'm not saying
good.
That's a bad thing.
My people, right?
Exactly.
What about all the trips to Miami? What stands out from those? Remember with the Spurs and their finals?
I loved going to Little Havana.
Yeah.
And they made me a Cuban hamburger, which was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just hanging out in Little Havana and rolling the cigars. Yep. I love cigars. They roll their own there. I mean, it was, and the Spurs winning was also.
Of course.
Enjoyable, especially after they had the heartbreak the one year that you go back, and for them to win and see all the national guys like in shock that the Spurs are dismantling the mighty Miami Heat, LeBron and Dwayne Wade are losing, and just like sitting there going, I love this so much.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I got to go the heartbreak year with you, 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, because down below the arena is where we would watch the game once it started. And all the national guys were there. And I remember seeing Stephen A. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And,
oh, no, he has an opinion?
And another guy from ESPN just shocked when the Spurs were beating Miami by like 20 or something like that. And I'm like, this makes my whole trip.
Yeah, that would actually. That's a good behind-the-scenes little info, inside baseball there.
It felt like San Antonio against the world. So
Yes, it really did.
It is.
I know.
I've got another on KSAT Connect.
Okay.
You ran into the Alstons at the Lone Star Brewery. This is a while
look
ago,
at that.
right?
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was at the Lone Star Brewery when they were trying to fix it up.
Is that the concert?
We went to a concert.
Yes.
The old 95er, an old. Why can't I? The old 97s. That's
Old
it.
97s.
Thank you, Johnny, in the control room. I blanked for a second. The old 97s were playing. It was really an enjoyable day, and I got some Lone Star gear, so
good times.
Pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah.
We have a few others posted too. We'll get around to, especially next half hour, 6:45. We got to get to the radar right now. 30 radar. We have some good downpours south of San Antonio down I-35. These are drifting to the northwest, and generally they've been short-lived. Some of these have actually sustained themselves a little bit longer than others, so they're dropping up to about an inch of rain. But this is all the way down through Dilley. Cotulla is getting a nice soaking right now. Cotulla, you could easily squeeze out an inch or more out of this downpour. Already about 0.9 inches in Cotulla, about 9/10 in Dilley. It's good to see. Actually decent coverage out there. You look between I-10 and I-37, pretty good coverage today. Just not over San Antonio, unfortunately. Now keep in mind, anywhere you see these yellow marks on the screen, that's at least 2 inches of rain, estimated by Doppler radar. Now that was the exception. Most locations about an inch or half an inch to maybe an inch to inch and a half. But the activity out there is starting to fizzle out a bit, at least out of the KSAT 12 viewing area, which cuts off in Lavaca County here. East of Lavaca County, still some action, but that's not headed toward Lavaca County. And everything around I-10, that's drifting northward. Actually, we have a outflow boundary from this storm near Luling that's headed towards Seguin, New Braunfels to soon bring you a little burst of slightly cooler air. 20% chance tomorrow afternoon and evening. Then we're sunny, dry, and hot Thursday and Friday. By Sunday, we're up to 40%. That's our next best chance that we're looking at. Remember we talked about that early season cold front or cool front, whatever you want to call it? Well, here it is. Check out Texarkana, 70. Wichita Falls, 76. Amarillo and Oklahoma City, both at 68. We're going to see a few more of these fronts drop southward. Actually, one of them may get hung up overhead on Sunday, and that's why we think that's our best chance for rain, right now at 40%. But the longer range, September 1st to 5th, from the Climate Prediction Center, they agree that it favors below average temperatures in the midsection of the country, which is not where San Antonio is, but it's a sign of the changing season as we get into September. We'll be as low as the lower 90s by Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and I think that's as cool as we'll get in terms of high temperatures. Tropical storm Fernand barely holding on, moving into the North Atlantic. No other tropical development expected in the next 5 to 7 days in the Atlantic basin. It's actually looking pretty quiet now. Typically, activity ramps up this time of year, but it's not at the moment. 96 was our high today. That's 1 degree above average. The record, 103. Look at Gonzales, 85, along with Nixon, Seguin, 87, Floresville, 87. They're getting the outflow boundaries from the nearby showers. Meanwhile, 90s elsewhere, 93 at the airport. And by 10 o'clock, we're down to 83 degrees. Tomorrow, carbon copy of today. Mixture of sun and clouds, mid-90s, a few isolated rogue pop-up showers. Bernie 92 tomorrow, Converse 96 along with Hondo. And notice what I put on the 7-day for tomorrow. Spreister's last day. I had to include it on there.
We need a little emoji with it.
I was thinking that with the teardrop emoji. Yep.
Yeah, or that'll just be all of us in person.
How about with a lot of tears?
Yeah, I know.
Not just one.
We're going to have boxes.
Yes.
Of
This has been an emotional last couple of days, that's for sure.
And all you at home, I got some stories to tell tomorrow, backed up with photos.
And yes, the photos are.
I can't wait. I'm like, what has he got? Anyway. All right, UTSA opens their football season this Saturday had a tough place to play.
Yes, Texas A&M, I mean, oh my goodness, with 100,000 plus fans in there. I mean, UTSA has seen that many fans before, but still, going into College Station, the Roadrunners know they have to do a couple things in particular to keep themselves in this ball game early. And in high school volleyball, Livonia is always one of the best programs in the area. Coming up.
I would expect you'll see multiple guys out there Saturday to combat those big beasts we're going against across from us.
Coach Traylor is talking about his O-line facing the Aggies' D-line in Big Board Sports. It is game week for the UTSA Roadrunners, who will open the season on the road at the Texas A&M Aggies. This will mark the third meeting between the Roadrunners and the Aggies, and the first one with Jeff Traylor at the helm. The Aggies won the two previous games, 23-10 and 45-14. UTSA will kick off its 15th season of football against a very tough team, and Coach Traylor was asked what needs to happen early on in the game to give them a shot to win.
Oh, there's certain things, right? I just don't want to talk about them too much. You just hope you can hang around with them as long as you can. And then if you can get it there late, something might happen. I'd like to tell you there's all these magic plays and these magic schemes we can run, and we're going to try our best to have a few of those. But at some point, someone's got to physically move the other person. And at some point, someone's got to go up and high point a ball. And at some point, some corner's got to go up and high point one on the other side for us. It comes down to players making plays.
UTSA is 2-1 under Traylor in season openers on the road, and they are 17-7 versus teams from Texas under Traylor. Aggies field boss Mike Elko has nothing but respect for Coach T.
Obviously, anytime you play an in-state program, there's going to be a little something to that. Those kids certainly will be fired up to come over here and play at Kyle Field. Their head coach, Jeff Traylor, does a phenomenal job. He's done an amazing job with that program, building it, being successful year in and year out, transitioning it up into the American Athletic Conference, and obviously picked to be one of the premier teams in that league. And, that is a very, very good football conference.
Saturday's game will be televised nationally on ESPN and streamed on Watch ESPN. Kick is set for 6 p.m. at Kyle Field. In high school volleyball, the Livonia Bears are a team to be reckoned with. They are 14-5 so far this season and one of the best programs in the area year in and year out. Head coach Danielle Coleman credits the youth organizations and the junior high school program for shaping the volleyball history in Livonia. In non-district play, the Class 4A Bears regularly beat 6A and 5A teams, making them a dangerous opponent.
Playing for Livonia, our team is very, we have a lot of grit and we have a lot of hustle too, and that's probably why we beat some of these big dog teams, 6A.
Yeah, we definitely have a big target on our back, especially after our first tournament, placing first. I think a lot of people have seen that we're able to hang with some of the bigger 6A schools, so, kind of just using that as motivation in practice.
We're a very humble team already starting off. We play a lot of tough preseason games. We go into these hard tournaments, and I think it gives us a level head already, so we come in confident during district, but once we hit playoffs, we're ready to go.
Reaching out to these 5A and 6A and other successful 4A programs. We are the team that people says you ruin their seasons because nobody expects a little 4A from Livonia to come out like we do. We're unknown to a lot of people. We played this past weekend in Georgetown, and people were looking like up our little town, and they're like, where is Livonia? And does everybody there play volleyball? And so it's fun to kind of be that team that comes out and surprises people.
Livonia is in action tonight, taking on Antonian Prep.
We know where Livonia is.
Right.
We sure do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Larry.
You got it.
We're back right after this. All right, it is time now for our KSAT Q&A. We are joined once again by Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones. On most Tuesdays, she's here with us. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Steve. This is the last one.
I know, it's the last Q&A.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you're really broken up about it. Let's talk about Project Marvel. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah. Council passed it last week. You still would like to see some sort of economic development study on it.
Independent economic impact study.
Do you want to still see that?
100%. So, look, let's be clear. I mean, I think it is still the majority of my council colleagues also express their interest in still seeing this independent assessment. In large part, we need to understand impact on general fund. We need to understand affordability. There's some other aspects of that I think that are also important. I will say, getting it at this point is like taking half the test and then asking for the study guide because we've already committed to $489 million. Right, max. But again, it'll still be valuable as we negotiate other aspects of this agreement. So I think that is something that is still of value, and the majority of my council colleagues agree.
Good.
So the county's portion of this funding, $311 million, that is already going towards the voters for them to decide in November. Yeah. You've been asked whether you're going to support that, but you hadn't made a decision as of last week. Are you going to support that motion? Well, I want to make sure we all go into this eyes wide open. And I have said, if you pay twice, you should vote twice. As a city voter, right, you vote for the 311 for the county. I would argue, given how momentous this and significant this investment is, $489 million, I think voters should also have a say in that. Again, I am very supportive of downtown development. I just want to make sure we're all going into this eyes wide open. And part of this, frankly, every budget session meeting that we have is very clear about the difficulties that we have in our own budget in light of the environment that we're going to go into. So I think we give people the data. We give people an opportunity to weigh in via their vote, and how that lands is what our community wants. And I think that's a fair ask.
Will you come out one way or the other on the November ballot issue for the county?
Well, I will certainly vote, of course.
No, but I mean, will you publicly vote? Will you publicly endorse it or publicly campaign against it?
No, I have not. I have not made a decision on that. I think I've been very clear though about I think what our community is still owed, which is an independent economic assessment. Steve, you would never buy a home without getting an independent inspection report. You would never do that. So we need an independent economic impact assessment to help us better negotiate on these other deals. I think that's just fair. And frankly, based on, it's interesting. I am very thankful for folks that take the time to send me letters and phone calls and whatnot. And there's a great deal of support for Project Marvel. There's also a great deal of support for an independent economic study. I think folks say, I am excited about this too, but I think we also need the data. And my concern, as I've shared, right, my concern is if folks feel like this has been rushed, and I do get that feedback, and they have not been provided the data, that would negatively impact their vote in November. So again, I think we help ourselves by showing people the data that we are trying to get, even if we don't have it by November, the data that we are still trying to get, in particular impact to general fund. We tell people how we're going to bring them in. Again, I think if you pay twice, you should vote twice. So that's fair.
Does that mean then that you're pushing for the city's portion of the contribution to go before voters as well? Which I understand that wouldn't happen until next year.
That's right. It doesn't, and to be very clear, it's not required. But again, I think this is a significant investment. They were not able to review the term sheet with sufficient time to weigh in with their council person in a public event, and I think they deserve that. $489 million. This is a once-in-a-generation investment. And again, if you're a city voter, you're paying $800. You're paying $311 with the county, and you're paying $489 with the city. $800 million. You're on the hook for 62% of a $1.3 billion stadium. Yeah, if you pay twice, you should vote twice.
But it's not taxpayer money per se.
So look, I think public money,
even if it goes to the state, even if you couldn't use it for anything else.
Well, that's not always the case. So as I've shared, right, some of the money, again, the way that the deal is set up, arena leases. How does the city's contribution made up? Arena leases. The Spurs pay us money that goes right toward financing their stadium. Some of the money, some of the guaranteed investment that they have said, some of that property tax revenue, again, doesn't come into the general fund like it normally would. It goes straight into financing the arena. So again, just because it didn't come into the general fund doesn't mean a portion of it could not have, or some of it could not have, which again helps us with some of the bills that we have. Police, fire, libraries, EMS, these are all things that we've got. And so I think, public money, I mean, look, if it wasn't a city contribution, then they wouldn't call it a city contribution.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yeah, but it's just where the funds come from.
Yeah, but again, it could have come to us. Some portion of that could come to us. And how do I know that? Because some of that could come in as revenue sharing. Some of that money could come to us. Just because it doesn't come to us doesn't mean it couldn't. I like the analogy somebody shared. It's like saying that you're not paying taxes just because it's already been withheld from your check. No, you're still paying. You're just never seeing it. And so I think it's important, again, we go eyes wide open, because as my colleagues and I have also talked about, there are other bills, right? The bond, the first bond bill for this, $250 million was the first estimate. That's just the first of the downtown development. Let me be clear, I also support, as constituents have asked, hey, when that bond comes up, make sure that you delineate which projects we're voting on. If it says, if I want to vote on drainage and maybe not something for downtown development, they'd like that opportunity. And I think that's a fair ask, right? Again, as we don't have endless credit and we have lots of projects to consider in our community.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about something non-Project Marvel related. There is a Taiwanese delegation coming to San Antonio this week. What is the purpose of meeting with this group?
Yes. Well, I was very excited to make this happen. I got wind of this trip based on a colleague that was helping organize it, and they were not originally coming to San Antonio. Austin, Dallas, Houston were their stops. But we got into a conversation. I said, look, we'd love to have you here. Again, we have a wonderful advanced manufacturing sector here. And this delegation in particular is focused on electrical vehicles as well as uncrewed aerial vehicles, so drones. They're looking for partners in the U.S. and in particular in Texas to do business with. So again, we are ripe given the advanced manufacturing that we have here. We also have a wonderful and very unique defense ecosystem. So I look forward to highlighting with them, and hopefully that leads to some frankly good paying jobs here in San Antonio.
Yeah, right off to the right, you'll see the Toyota plant. Off to the left, you'll see the CMC. You'll see all kinds of stuff. So I love it.
Yeah, Mayor, thanks for being here. We appreciate it as always.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see you. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Final session.
That's it.
I know.
The finale.
I'm like weirdly nervous.
So am I.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
All right, tomorrow on the news at 6, the final Spriester session on what will be Steve's last day here at KSAT. It is a conversation between me and Steve. We sat down at Tacos El Rey on the west side.
One of the reasons I wanted to do this interview at Tacos El Rey is because this is where we did our first ever Know My Neighborhood.
Let's talk about some of the highs, some of the celebrations.
Yeah.
The ways that we got to celebrate San Antonio.
Yeah, I mean.
Fiesta, Spurs.
I mean, it was just like one big happy family, and that just confirmed everything I thought about San Antonio. And I've just had it reconfirmed time and time again.
There was a lot to talk about when you have 30 years to cover. There was a lot of gratitude. There were also tears in that conversation. There will be tomorrow. The final Spriester session is tomorrow right here on the news at 6.
It's weird being the subject of the final Spriester session.
And what people had hoped don't necessarily realize too is the amount of sacrifice that you put in. You know, they just expect you to be there because you're the one that's supposed to be there. But the big freeze. You were in El Paso.
Yeah.
No planes coming in and out.
Phoenix.
Or
I could only
Phoenix,
get to El
yes.
Paso.
So tell us what happened during that.
I couldn't get back to San Antonio. I could only get to El Paso. So I decided to fly to El Paso and run a car and drive the rest of the way.
Yeah, you drove 9 hours to make it here. And then even just during the recent floods.
Yeah, I was in Dallas, Farmersville, where my wife is from, and flew in Saturday morning between storms. And get here.
No, and then came straight to the studio. He was in his jeans, wearing a suit top. So don't be too modest about it. But a lot of sacrifice that you don't just get from anybody.
Well,
you know?
and that's the thing. When originally that script said maybe a few tears, I'm like, it's too late. There's already tears that have been shed. Listen, I'm going to say something at the end of the 10 tomorrow night, but if you hear nothing else from me tomorrow, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hear all that. So,
We got a lot to say tomorrow. And there's going to be a giant box of tissues right here when we say it.
We're also going to celebrate 30 years. Let's be real. I'm going to make sure we're celebrating, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I will always make sure we're celebrating.
Making sure we're celebrating.
By the way, I did, if you see online, I did post a picture of you and I in the Dos Equis. I don't know if you saw that on my social media today. I did post a picture.
One of the finest moments after Fiesta. We had so many great moments. I mean, it's hard to put them all together. And a lot of them post-Flambeau related.
Yeah, digging up some of the old pictures today was fun.
And they all happen organically.
And some of the ones I didn't know were on my phone that you two took at some point.
Actually, the best update to iOS is just you can open the camera when they're not looking, right? You don't need a passcode.
Yeah, very true.
And our talks during commercial breaks and all that, you know.
Little songs we make up.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
Claudia.
Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah, sang to Panama by Van Halen, except it's Claudia. So, yeah, she's running
right over
teleprompter. She just clapped for us. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
All right, look outside with live cam here this evening. We're watching some action out there on the radar, Adam.
Yeah, we are. And of course, we're keeping an eye on KSAT Connect as well. This goes back. Morgan's Wonderland grand opening.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know Spriester, I bet he remembers taking this photo
I do
and being
actually.
there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it was a hot day, and Ursula and I were emceeing the opening event. The Spurs were playing that night.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Eva was there.
Yeah, Eva Longoria was there.
Eva Longoria was there. They had it just was like you felt the energy, and that was another time where San Antonio came together to celebrate something that's uniquely San Antonio.
Oh, uniquely San Antonio and just unique for the world.
Yeah.
You know, and that is San Antonio.
What Gordon Hartman and his family and his foundation and Morgan and all of them have done is amazing.
Yep, it's awesome.
Even today.
That's a heart with a clicker in my hand, by the way. Got it. Okay. Quick look at radar. Most of the rain that's still ongoing south down I-35, and these showers are starting to show signs of weakening and slow dissipation. As that sun gets lower, then we're going to lose the oomph to these storms. But pretty good rainfall around Cotulla, up and down I-35, Cotulla to Dilley. Not a lot of it making its way actually into Carrizo Springs or Crystal City, but it's good to see some shower activity out there. We checked in last time and it was 0.9 inches in Cotulla. Now it's 1.7. Just 20 minutes later, 25, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, Dilley 1.2. So it's good to see that. Between I-10 and I-37, we had a scattering of brief downpours. But I talked to some folks in Hallettsville, and they had half an inch, 0.8 of an inch, just outside of town, 1.4, 1.8, Yorktown 0.5. Get just northeast of Karnes City and just southeast of Stockdale, about 1.3. So where we had the rain, it turned out to be a decent little soaking. And tomorrow, we'll have a similar timeline for rain. I just don't expect as much coverage as today. 20%. Dry, sunny, and hot Thursday, Friday. By Saturday, we're at 20%. Sunday, we're up to 40%. That's our little boost in rain chances because of another boundary, another weak cool front that should actually make its way here. But don't get excited about cooler temperatures just yet. So we're still at 16 100-degree days, way behind pace for previous years. By this time in 2023, we had 59, and in 2022, we had 58. And by the way, climatologically speaking, today is our average last triple-digit day. I think we could squeeze in at least a couple more, though, over the next 7 to 10 days. 93 right now, temps falling down into the 80s pretty quickly, and by 10 o'clock, we're at 83. 76 in the morning, 90 at noon, 96 the high temperature, and again, just a brief pop-up downpour. Notice mid-90s tomorrow, but just sunny and hot. So right near, if not at 100 Thursday and Friday, then low 90s with the rain chances this weekend. See you back in a few minutes.
Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on ABC's primetime lineup. At 7 p.m., Emma and Bruce Willis, The Unexpected Journey. Then at 8, Will Trent, followed by the Night Beat at 10. Got some breaking news before we go. A child fighting for their life tonight after they were hit by a pickup truck.
This happened around 5 o'clock this evening on Amiris Place on the west side. Right now, San Antonio police say there is no criminal activity suspected.
The child believed to be about 6 or 7 years old. As details continue to come in, we'll bring those to you on KSAT.com and, of course, have the latest tonight on the Night Beat. Adam.
All right, another quick little step down memory lane right there with another photo. Annual Light the Night Walk. Rain chances spike 40% Sunday.